Between its globetrotting glamour, dramatic track battles, and dashing young drivers, Formula One is one of sport's hottest properties. Visa is among the latest brands to participate, catching a ride with F1's powerful Oracle Red Bull racing franchise. The brand is taking over title sponsorship of Red Bull's number 2 team, now known as Visa Cash App RB, with drivers Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. Formula One counts 500 million fans worldwide, giving Visa plenty to work with. But it's the chance to get its cardholders close to the action that has the brand excited, according to Andrea Fairchild, Visa's Senior VP of Global Partnership Strategy, speaking on the Marketer's Brief podcast, our weekly discussion of marketing news and trends that have the industry buzzing. Fairchild will also discuss how the deal supports women Formula One drivers and how the sports sponsorship landscape has evolved from TV commercials during broadcasts to everyday moments with consumers. I'm John Springer, senior reporter at Ad Age, and this is the Marketer's Brief podcast. Well, welcome to the show, Andrea.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure's ours. Before we get into what you're doing with Visa and sports, let's talk a little bit about your background. You've been at Visa, and before that, you were at Gatorade and with Nike. So a lot of roles in sports-related companies. And my question would be, how did you select that career path, and were you an athlete?
So the answer to the athlete question is yes, I was, but I wasn't a very good one. So let's put it that way. I lacked a lot of talent, but I certainly had a lot of heart and a passion for sports. So growing up, multiple sports that I was involved in high school, from track, to softball, all the typical kind of things that young girls do, and just certainly took a lot from that. And again, what I was passionate about, and turned that into a career, right? It was something that I loved. I love, everything that kind of embodies sport, what it means, how it brings people together, the life lessons that were learned from that. And, really for me, growing up, that was always what I wanted to do, was find a way to kind of take what I'm passionate about and turn it into a career. And, at the time, Nike was, they were my first pair of track shoes that I had ever owned. And they were a very coveted piece of footwear that I had in my collection. And again, what I think, some of the greatest marketers ever in that company. So that was certainly kind of my North Star from a career perspective, was really being able to work there and kind of start my career journey.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Moving on to Gatorade, you were a marketer there as well. What do you look back at Gatorade? What were your highlights there?
Yeah, Gatorade, again, same thing. It's one of those iconic global sports brands. And, having the ability to, at the time when I was at Gatorade, we were really focused on changing the trajectory of Gatorade. It was when we moved from Gatorade to G. We launched the G series. We had a lot of product innovation at the time, and really kind of resetting the brand back to its original positioning of for athletes and, driving athlete performance. So from that perspective, it was just a tremendous opportunity to really kind of take the things that I had learned from Nike and, move that into the food and beverage category. But really, it was still always about fueling athlete performance and how we were moving that initiative forward. So those were great memories for me and the work that was done there.
Okay, that takes us up to your current role, SVP of Global Partnership Strategy at Visa.
That's right.
And the reason we're together is you recently announced a deal to make Visa a new partner for what used to be known as the Red Bull AlphaTauri team in Formula One. Why Formula One?
There's a lot of reasons for that. And it really gives us at Visa the ability to kind of, as you mentioned, it marks our first new global sponsorship in 15 years. And, it was just a really unique opportunity for us to team up on the Visa Cash App RB team with Formula One, with the F1 Academy, and again, just really being able to kind of balance a lot of the initiatives and the excitement that's going on with that partnership right now as well, to be able to drive some interest. It's really kind of, again, like I mentioned, it's the opportunity to be a title sponsor of a team with a lot of upward trajectory. And in part, it has a close association with the sister team, with Oracle Red Bull Racing. And it was just really exciting to kind of be involved in all of that. I think what's interesting about Formula One is the younger, newer fans that are coming into the sport, the interesting dynamics and personalities with the drivers and the cars, at the heart of the sport, and really giving us the unique opportunity to kind of craft stories around both. And as you know, Visa has been a long-standing partner of Olympic, Paralympics, and FIFA as well. And again, this just kind of gave us an opportunity to diversify our portfolio a bit. And like I said, really kind of making history and becoming that first sponsor across both teams.
Yeah. How did you come across F1? Did you sit around and watch Drive to Survive like I did?
I mean, it's certainly Drive to Survive is certainly what I would say is just a game-changing kind of, way to really, have some unique storytelling, right? And I do believe that is what is propelled kind of, it's the sport itself in F1 kind of being, what I said, taking on a lot of newer and younger fans, is really getting to understand the stories and the behind the scenes that are happening within the sport. So I can't say that personally, that is the exact reason, but I love the content. I feel very strongly that that is the way to engage fans in a really unique way, and being able to have the ability to be a part of that and kind of bring those stories to life in that kind of environment is something that was unique to F1 and really unique to some of the opportunities that we have.
Yeah, eye-opening for me was just to see like this sport had so many like good-looking young men driving these cars. Who knew, right?
But what an amazing way to, to learn more about them, just as athletes and personalities, right? Because as you said, their helmets are on, they're in full kits on race day, and you don't really get to see a lot of that kind of internal workings and dynamics. So again, I think it's just, and a lot of other sports properties, including, our partnership with NFL and the work that they do, with content. That's what's creating that higher level of engagement and interest in new fan bases as these sports continue to grow just outside of the live sports themselves.
Okay. You mentioned a little bit about this already, but I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what it was about the Formula One fan that told you this was a good play for Visa.
Yeah, I think, again, for us, I'll tie it a little bit back to Visa as well, that it offered new opportunities for kind of our clients and our card holders, right? There's a lot of passion in this fan base. They're enthusiastic, they're diverse, and, as I mentioned, just kind of this younger audience that's really driving relevance for a really influential consumer group within that. And I think combined with that, culture, entertainment, and sport is kind of that diversity that I'm speaking of, and the really fast growing kind of fan base, right? Like you look at their stats and, Red Bull F1, more than 500 million fans. They've got 3 times the engagement rate on social media year on year. And again, one of the fastest growing F1 teams on social. So it gives us an opportunity, like I said, to just really kind of be in the conversation, to leverage kind of both teams within this environment and, really kind of take a unique spin on it for, like I said, our clients and our cardholders. And it's something different that is certainly giving us some unique opportunities here.
Yeah. So what the paint scheme reveal for your car is in Las Vegas this week, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
What can you tell us without giving away what it looks like? What can you tell us about what we're going to see?
Yeah, well, again, I think it's a unique opportunity for us, right? The Visa Cash App RB team is certainly that up and coming team. We feel like there is a lot of opportunity there. So I think what you're going to see is just a unique look and feel, that keeping them distinct within, what they have kind of always stood for, and making sure that we're giving some nod to the history and heritage of that team in general. So I think you'll be excited to see it. We have a very fun event planned we will be unveiling the new look and feel of the team, and we're very excited about it.
So, Andrea, there's one more thing I wanted to ask you about F1, and that is how Visa is going to be able to support women drivers coming up in the sport. Can you tell us a little bit about those plans and how Visa will figure in that?
Absolutely. Thank you, John, for asking that. That's probably my favorite part. So it's really what was unique about this opportunity as well is it gives us the ability to continue our commitment to supporting women in sport, which again is one of the things that I am, most proud of in the work we do. So as we plan out kind of this new partnership, we are championing the F1 Academy, which is Formula One's women's racing series. And more women are really kind of getting into the driver's seat. And the Visa Cash App RB team will be a part of that as well. I think, again, it just gives us the opportunity. We certainly stand for inclusion and acceptance. And, we aim to kind of shift the paradigm in sports and these properties that we're involved in to open more opportunities for underrepresented groups kind of inside and beyond sport. So, like I said, this gives us just a unique opportunity. I feel strongly this is going to be a really important and kind of fast growing arm of F1 with the F1 Academy. And I'm excited to see kind of where it all goes. And it makes me, like I said, very proud to be a part of it and really, lifting these drivers into the next level of their careers.
It would seem that in the sporting world in general, that women are having a moment. We're talking,
Right.
With between volleyball leagues that are coming up, the women's hockey, basketball, the great ratings that these sports are seeing now, and that's got to be satisfying for you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Again, we have a lot of sponsorships that we're extremely proud of, right? And I think those are the things that we look for. And you said it as well, the ability to directly support the women's team and, where women's sport is continuing to grow and thrive, across all kind of platforms. I think it is just important that we continue to keep pushing and keep building there. And like I said, this gives us just a unique opportunity to do that. We put so much emphasis on it throughout our other properties, whether that be NFL, Olympics, Paralympics, and FIFA, to continue to change the future of sport as it relates to propelling these women's opportunities. So this was something that was extremely important to us.
Perfect. You mentioned earlier it was 15 years, I think, since Visa had made a new sports partnership deal until F1 came along. I guess the question is, had the company been seeking another in these times, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're always, looking for a good fit and for ways in which, just as I mentioned, we have a lot of opportunity and those opportunities align with what's important for us as a business from a value perspective. We look for ways that we can provide unique access and opportunities for our clients and our cardholders. And when those things align, as well as being able to kind of champion a team to elevate athletes and, focus on ways in which we can come into something and either elevate or kind of change the trajectory of where it's going. Those are the things that we continue to look for. And I say we're always trying to find those perfect fits and the right opportunities to do that. And, sometimes they line up and, timing works out really well. And then other times there's things that just aren't exactly aligned at this point in time, but we continue to work towards them.
Okay. I mean, we see a lot in the marketing world, attention on live sports in general, because that's one of the few places people can be found anymore. I guess from your seat, I wonder how you're looking at sports in general as a cultural thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're exactly right? Like the live sports component is extremely important. And, that engagement that happens from a live perspective is something that you just can't replace. But for more than 40 years, right, we've continued to partner with some of the world's largest sports and entertainment properties. And I think the ability to kind of share those commonalities that I've talked about, have this, what I love about sports is this global ubiquity and bringing people together kind of united around a common passion. And that passion could be Formula One, that passion could be the NFL, whatever that is. Sport really unites and it brings people together in a really unique way. So from a marketing perspective, That's certainly how I look at things too, and why I think sports are so important. I mean, you mentioned it earlier just with the Drive to Survive series and how that engagement and kind of that level of interest outside of the live sport itself, but kind of the behind the scenes that is really continuing to now drive a lot more interest outside of the playing field itself. And, I think there's a lot of opportunities to continue to grow and, expand from a marketing perspective in those areas too.
Right. So are sports partnerships changing at all from your perspective? Are you looking to get anything different out of it than you used to, or how is it evolving?
Yeah, I certainly, of course it's evolving, from where things were before. I think of the evolution of social media, right? You've seen sports and brands evolve over the last several years. Athletes are becoming creators. They have their own voice. They are influencers as fans kind of want this sneak peek into their everyday lives. And it could be how they train, how they eat, how they take care of themselves, right? Like social media has certainly changed that dynamic. And I think that with our partnerships that we continue to believe that access and opportunities is what gives us the opportunity to focus and, as I keep saying, kind of change and elevate the game. But it's these cultural moments that I think are really changing along with social media and that instant connectivity that fans are now able to have that has opened up a lot more than, just a typical ad that back in when I first started, that became, that was really the lever that we pulled, kind of what's our tagline, what's the ad going to be during the sporting event, and how are we going to reach as many people as possible sitting kind of in front of their TV at that moment, right? And that part of it is, I think, again, is what's really changed us as marketers, is how we got to go so much deeper and wider than just that kind of one moment. And, how are we reaching people every day of the year through the platforms that we are engaged with? And a lot of that is utilizing those athlete voices and having them, engage at a much different level.
Yeah. Okay, it's going to be a fun sports year. After we've got the Super Bowl, we'll have the F1 season, and coming up this summer, the Paris Olympics. From your
That's
seat
right.
at Visa, what's your sense as to how big event that's going to be?
Oh, it is going to be incredible. Again, thinking of just how coming off of the last Olympics in Tokyo and, COVID and, kind of what we all learned from, how to continue on with live sporting events through that to now moving to one of the most iconic and beautiful cities in the world to be hosting the 24 Olympic and Paralympic Games. It's going to be one of those sports moments that will leave an everlasting legacy. And I'm so excited for it to happen. It's like you said, so many incredible sport moments that we have ahead of us. That is very true.
Okay, we've got just a couple minutes left. I'd like to ask our guests this question without naming your current employers or former employers, let's say. What's a brand or a campaign out there that you admire and why?
Oh, goodness. And I can't name a former.
I guess you can if you want.
Well, I think I will probably, again, you go back to your first question and just my love and passion of sport. Like the brands that I admire, and I'll even, I will add P&G and, Dove into those, is just how those kind of human interest stories and that emotional connectivity that happens through sport and how that is kind of brought to life through brands and how they think about their marketing. Again, you can think about all the amazing kind of retirement moments of some of the greatest athletes and brands being able to kind of bring that emotion and tie those things together. The Gatorade piece with Derek Jeter when he retired, with Kobe and, Nike when his retirement happened. I think that to me is like those emotional connections through content and really kind of that level of what I would say grasping the feelings that happen within the world of sport those are things that I truly admire when those get brought forward. And again, I think brands' abilities to change the narrative, as we talked about with women's sports, and really elevating that within their marketing and the work that they're doing is something that I truly admire.
Great. Andrea, with that, we're going to be out of time here, but I really want to thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it.
That was Andrea Fairchild, Senior VP of Global Partnership Strategy at Visa. And I'm John Springer, Senior Reporter at Ad Age. I'd like to thank our producer, Lauren Ciardio, and remind you that you can subscribe to the Marketer's Brief podcast on your favorite streamer. That's all for this week. We'll see you next time.